Hello, everyone. This is episode 432 of the OotiniCast. 432 of the OotiniCast. That's working. And let's see, it is the 1st of February 2022. We're going to get going on the real podcast here in just a minute. This is the pre-show. We're getting the stream going and all that. And this is the raw version of the show with all flubs, errors, and so on left as is. Hey, Wolf. Hey, DL. How's it going? And we are, let's see, we're going to be going in here in just a couple minutes. Let me go ahead and tweet this out. And let's see.
Okay. I got it ready. Ready to retweet.
Okay.
Tag team tweet. That was more difficult to say than I thought it would be. It's a tag team tweet. Tag team tweet.
TV/. All right, there's the tweet.
Right.
See if I can retweet it real quick since we're still ahead of schedule slightly, which is fine. Yeah, they just added some new stuff to the forums, so we added it to the show notes. I'm still kind of trying to get my head around it, make sure I have at least a basic grasp of it. Although usually I can, even with this sort of thing, I can sort of roll with it a little bit.
Yeah, you're good. You're Ron Burgundy.
Just read whatever anyone puts in front of me, right?
Good night, San Diego.
All right. Let's see. We still have a minute or so before we should really get going because it's not quite 4 o'clock yet. And my week is very, very simple. I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah, I did. I was like, whoa.
I was basically just grinding one character the whole time. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, all of my stuff is boring real life crap. Yeah. I mean, I think the big thing that happened is I went to Costco.
That's right. I got
a big old piece of pie. I got a huge pie.
I just got my little notification here that my glasses are available to pick up. They won't look any different because I actually have several of these frames and I'm updating 2 of them. So one of them is going to be this one for at the computer. This will now be the old one, and I'll just have to... The little optician guy kind of took a look at it, and he didn't like this one, so he used... I have 3 of this thing that I've sort of gained over time, and he thought that these were like a little they're a little loose and whatever, so he didn't want to replace the lenses on this one. So this is just going to be my, I don't know, semi backup or throwaway, even donate or whatever. And then one is going to be an updated computer range one, not bifocal, because I've tried bifocals at the computer. I have other sets of bifocals that I use, and I can't do the bifocals at the computer. It just bugs me too much because even if I tip my head just a slight amount, all of a sudden I can't see the bottom half of my monitor, and it's like, so I feel like I have to do like this the whole time, which is it's fine for posture and all, but it's not very human. So
what you need is to get those like racing seatbelts
straps. Strap in, baby.
One of the little donuts.
We're going to Ziost. Yeah. So I'll have my glasses, but they'll be updated prescription tomorrow. I also got one for car because even though I'm mostly farsighted, apparently my eyesight is kind of also going crap there too.
Jesus.
I don't need them for like licensing or anything. I don't have to drive with them every day, but if I ever feel like I'm driving and my eyes are really tired, like it's been a long day, or maybe it's raining really hard and it's just hard to focus anyway, I'll have them for that sort of thing. So, I haven't tried that yet. So I'll just try them, and maybe I'll hate it so much that I just won't ever use them. But at least it'll be an option. So
right, and you can always, if you like, don't want to have to buy frames in the future, just have them put your script in those.
That's frames. What I did. Yeah, exactly what I did in this case for both of them. And they're both going to look like these. I also have 2 bifocals that are actually even though they're now a year old, this prescription is good. Like, it hasn't progressed past that one. So there's a change between these prescriptions and my bifocals, but then for the last year or so, apparently it hasn't changed too much more. So the ones I'm going to have are roughly the same as the bifocals, and I can still use the bifocals, which I will, because I guess some people probably just have the same glasses that they wear like everywhere and all the time, but because I don't really need glasses for like walking around or driving around, I tend to just have several people. I have like one in my car, one with my wife, one here at the computer, that sort of thing. So anyway, I think we've vamped enough. Yeah, it's 4 o'clock.
Like
We're
that
good.
you have wife glasses.
I have wife glasses. Yeah. Yep, because we always do puzzles and stuff together, so I'm always like looking at like things that are like roughly arm's length away, and it gets really tiring on my eyes nowadays, unfortunately. It's so weird, because like even 4 years ago I just didn't need glasses, and now it's like
getting old sucks.
Yeah, it sucks. All right, so let's see, let me have a little water and we'll get going.
Hi, chat.
Oh, let me double check
everybody.
my Audacity. Yeah, it's going. Okay, we're good.
Now I have to triple check. Okay.
I always get paranoid sometimes. Well, sometimes I get paranoid. Fortunately, not all the time. It mostly has to do with like how long it's been since I checked. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if I just checked, I don't like get really nervous about it and have to recheck it like right before I start the show or anything. But if it's been a couple minutes or more, then it's like, oh, did I actually, you know, blah blah blah.
Well, you say it, and I had to check.
Yeah, I know.
It's just happened.
We humans.
Right. And now I will never. I'm like, never again.
Yep. All right, then let's get going.
Okie doke.
Going in 5. Actually, let me adjust my setup here a little bit.
Adjust it.
A little more comfortable, yeah. All right. Hi, and welcome to the OotiniCast, the podcast that's got to pay a visit to a little friend. This is episode 432, being recorded on Tuesday, February 1st, 2022. I'm your host, Chill. With me is my co-host, KittyKissz. Hey, Kitty.
Hey, Chill.
Hey. All right, and it's just you and me today, Kitty. So what you been up to since last show?
I've been doing a lot of real life stuff, and that is super boring. I mean, so I
real life sucks.
I streamlined my life a while ago to just make it easier and simple, and that's what I want. I don't want any, unnecessary BS. I just nice, simple, easy life. So some people may say that's pathetic. Some people may say that's great. Now, the big thing was I went to Costco. That's it. Like, Kitty and I went to Costco, and I realized how motion sick I get still. I completely forgot how
motion sick at Costco.
Yeah, well, we drove there. We got a lift there.
Oh, and you're always biking and stuff, so you're no longer used to being in a car regularly.
Man,
that's interesting.
It sucked. I was sick. I felt like I was gonna barf. It takes like 20 minutes for it to subside once I get to the location. But the whole time at Costco, I'm just like, I gotta get back in the car. It's gonna suck again. Made me super tired. It's just like, blah.
Has this been lifelong, or did it start once you kind of stopped going in cars?
Lifelong.
Wow.
Well, if I'm driving, it's okay.
Okay.
And if it's
did you drive on the way home just so you could?
No, we got a Lyft, like a ride
share, an Uber, a Lyft, or whatever.
Yeah. Uber, right.
Lyft with a Y.
Yeah, I was just like, I forgot all about it, and man, oof, sucks.
Oh, man.
But whatever. We'll I'll deal with it. Back when I was a kid, I remember I had to ride the bus a lot, and hey, stay alive.
Yeah, welcome Raiders.
I used to have to get off the bus, barf, and then wait for the next bus and get on a bus and go.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it sucked. That's it. But never if I'm driving. I don't know what the deal is.
Yeah. Is it an inner ear thing? Do you get dizzy otherwise?
No. No.
I wonder what that. I can't imagine.
I have no idea. Yeah, when I was a little kid, I used to just sleep.
Okay.
I would be in the back.
That's a good way to get rid of it. Yeah, or to not feel it anyway.
Yeah, people are always like, "You need to come and
It's
come
hard.
visit."
Yeah, it's hard as an adult, especially in a lift. You can't really go to sleep in someone else's back seat.
I tried.
Some strangers. You tried, like you closed your eyes.
Turn the window down. I'm like trying to get as much fresh air and cold air on my face, and I'm like,
Do Lyft drivers keep barf bags back there just in case?
I almost had to tell him to pull over, but I didn't.
Wow,
Nothing came out.
that's lucky.
Yeah. But man, what the hell?
That is wild.
I completely forgot about it because I haven't, ridden in a car in a long time. So
Yeah.
I was just like, well,
And yeah, I guess it's not one of those things that gets better either.
no, no. But that's the big excitement. That
yeah. That sure makes it memorable, at least.
To the internet. Whoa, life is crazy. But other than that, I've been playing with Kitty Treats on the weekends, doing a stream, and we have been going through Coffee and Kotet in vet mode, and this is her first time through it, so It's really fun to kind of be able to sit back and watch her enjoy it for the first time. So that's been super, super fun.
Excellent.
And for the solo streams, I made a sniper.
Ah, fun.
Yeah, I guess I'd been.
Is this which spec are you going for?
Shoot, I don't remember which one it is.
Well, there's like the marksman one, which is like all hard casts. There's like the dot one, lethality. There's the one in the middle, which is like tech something. I can't remember the exact name of it, but it has like to do with tech gadgets. The first one,
just straight sniper.
Hard cast stuff. Yeah, that's the marksman. Whatever.
So fun.
Yeah.
It is so.
Oh, it's good. Yeah.
Fun. I've been having a lot of fun with it. Plus, I guess I've been playing a lot of Force users because chat's like, you keep playing Force users. When are you going to do a non-Force user class? And I love the sniper story. So I was like, let's do sniper, which is great because after the great unlocks of 2021 or 2022, I have all kinds of new outfits and stuff. So
you get to use them.
Dressing up a non-Force user. I'm like, yeah. So it's been really fun. And I didn't make a chiss.
Okay.
Which is
so what usually make what kind is it? What kind is this one?
Just human.
Oh, okay.
She's a human, body type 4, because I think that the body type 4 female is very voluptuous.
Okay. Well, that is it. That's the whole point, I think.
And
I don't know the whole point, but
it's fun. I've been having a lot of fun with it, and it's I'm like, do I want to start a new character or do I want to wait till the 7.0? And I'm not going to wait 2 weeks. I'm just going to make a character and have fun with it. So. But
we're all sort of like figuring out what we're going to do. We're 2 weeks away. In fact, the next show is slated to be on relaunch day. So that's going to be interesting, I think. So I better do my show notes like really well the night before, because usually I do like the show notes the night before to sort of get ready, and then I do a last pass to make sure that like any last minute news or emails or whatever that comes up that it gets included. But I mean, it's launch day, so I'm kind of planning on being in game a fair bit.
And I took the day
assuming
off
launch
again.
goes smoothly and everything. But big expansion. Something could happen. But most of the actual launch days of like 4.0, 5.0, 6.0, they've been relatively smooth. It's mostly in this case, it's just they needed extra time. So I guess it's. So hopefully at least that day it will go smooth. We'll see.
Yeah, like I said, I took the day off. So if history is going to repeat itself, taking days off for a launch of a video game can, kind of be wishy-washy. I took it off last time and it got postponed 2 months. So.
Jinx it.
I know, like, come on, just launch it. But just having fun. Playing the game, good times. What about you, Chill? Who's up? What's up with chat?
Yeah, well, we had a little raid, and I'll see how that. In 1 second here. Let's go ahead and let me read it out here. We got 152 Domino in the chat. Alcartar 2, Aranella, Arcanan 6, Arc Vulcan, Arab 2432, Avenge Maximus. Avioron, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing some of these. Bears Den Gaming 23, Big Mike 73, Kabadaba, Cheryl Mercury's here, Shul, Cheyenne Kowalski, Sayawa, Cyber Sticks 5, DL is here, Darklight Smooth Wolf, Deck is here, hey Deck, Dorgan's Dragon, Droop Dog, Emberbeam 501, a lot of people here partly because of the raid. Evans 04111 is here, hey Evans, Fish Fingers and Custard 2018. Kind of love that name. Flat Cap, Dapper Pastor, Jipeo, hey Jipeo, Greeny Goblin, Green Lemon, Healthy Criticism, Immortalized Love, It's Silky Milky, I think that's how you pronounce that. JB Games TV, Jono, there's a lot of people. Katanaya, Kitty Treats is here. Cog is here, Cogus, Lady Brilliant, Lady Nocturnal, Master Lil, Milamber 76, Mr. Creepy Panda, N7, Beasley 1993, Nutella Girl, Niner Ramikad, Ollie's Overload 22, Rennet the Exile, Riru's here, hey Riru, Rina Kitten, Roland with a bunch of numbers, Ronan that, Solemn Gamey, Seti, Smokey 1313, SM Playboy, Squishy Twitchy, Stay Alive 7, Tezboy 1966, The Chimera, Tornessa, Trap Legacy, there we go, Vanilla Cappuccino, V for Ventuza 76, Waikika Mukau, I'm guessing is how you pronounce that. I'm sort of doing it, I don't really know Hawaiian or anything, it sounds Hawaiian to me. X Biohazard X, Velkin X, and Unac TV. Wow, a lot of people here.
Round of applause, Jill. Holy crap.
A lot of folks. Hey, everyone. So, yeah, thank you for the raid. A lot of new names in there, obviously, because of that. That was awesome. Last 2 weeks, I've just been sort of like, we've been doing Onslaught for quite some time now. I've leveled the characters I want to level. I'm kind of ready to get going. So what I've decided to do is to sort of coast into it by just taking this last character, Vi. She's now on Yavin 4. She just finished up Yavin 4 today. And I'm just going to coast her through, and we're going to get her through the rest of the story. And I'll try to sort of aim at it so that the day before the release, she's also like finishing up the story. So that way, either I can continue on with her, or probably I'll just go to one of my mains and just start with that on the next day. But at least she'll be like completely all the way through. So we'll try to get through all the story in the next 2 weeks. And there's quite a bit of it too. We got Zyos, Kopfi, Kotet, Post Kotet, Onslaught, Post Onslaught, and there's a lot. And some of that is a lot more to do than it is to say for sure. So
yeah.
I'm enjoying it. She's punching like crazy, and it actually does bring us to the tip of the week, because I noticed in her spec, if you take the smuggler utility called KO, Knockout, it adds a knockdown to your back blast if you use it from stealth. So in her spec, which is the scrapper spec, which is the damage spec, but it's the non-dot spec. So it's not the healing, it's not the dot spec, it's the sort of the back stab, just straight up damage spec. It's sort of designed to be like the stealth spec more than like the other two. Your level 68 passive called Hot and Ready makes it so that your Blood Boiler puts a debuff on the target so that your next back blast can be usable face to face and treated as though you had done it from stealth, which means a little bit more damage. It also puts a little dot on them, so it improves it by quite a bit, the fact that it comes from stealth. But if you have KO, then if you do back blast from stealth, you also knock them down. Well, because this passive treats it as though you've used it from stealth, even though it's face to face and it's in the middle of combat. It's treated as a stealth back blast, and it knocks them down. So even though you're already in the fight, you get to knock them down. Oh yeah, and it also gives you an upper hand, which is nice, which it doesn't normally. So, but that's not part of the KO. The KO thing is really cool though, because like you can be fighting a gold. You knock them down with the back blast from stealth, you do the fight, and about 2/3 of the way through, your cooldowns will come back up, you blood boil them, and then your back blast will come off cooldown a little bit later, and because you blood boil them, you get to knock them down again, as long as they're not someone who's immune to knockdowns. So it's not great for operation bosses and stuff like that, but pretty cool for just like regular fights, and probably for PvP, although technically in PvP, instead of a full knockdown, it's just an immobilization, but still pretty cool. Yeah, so that was interesting.
Knocking him down twice is mwah.
Yeah, exactly. You can
Like,
almost
once is great,
you
twice
can even yeah, and
better.
because the passive means you can be face to face and not have to do it from the back. You don't have to
Right.
worry about the positioning thing, which gets a little old sometimes. It's like, do I put my companion on tank so that
Right,
the
right.
heel pull and I can be behind him? That's kind of what I've been doing for the most part, but it's still kind of a pain in the butt. And if they stun your companion, then they turn around and attack you,
Right.
and then you can't get behind them at all because they just face you so well in PvE. But yeah, and just so you know, if you're a concealment operative, which is the mirror class, then the back blast is called backstab. The utility called KO for the smugglers is called jarring strike, and the blood boiler, which is the one that sets it off, is instead called volatile substance. So basically, you volatile substance them, and then you can backstab from the front, essentially, but it'll also knock them down because of jarring strike. So there you go.
Front backstab.
Yeah, so there you go.
Backstab knockdown.
Have you got any tips for us, Kitty, or is that it for...
I don't have any.
That's fine.
I usually carry my phone around and talk into it, but
Yeah.
not this week.
And I'm sure that that this is clearly something that's been in the game a long time. It's just something that I thought was interesting and I hadn't really noticed before. I hadn't put together that you could actually get an extra hard CC against, at least against things that you're going to be fighting for a little while. So it's actually one of my favorite things in the game is like the giant animals, especially like Varanticus's or Varanticai. I'm not sure how you pluralize that, but the Varanticus's, you knock them down, they just kind of flop over on their face.
Yeah. Yeah. Any quadruped looks weird when
Yeah,
you go down.
when you knock them down.
Yeah.
So funny.
How long does the knockdown last?
It's not too
It's
long.
like 5 seconds, right? Or
No, it's more like 2
it's-
seconds. It's maybe a global and a little bit more, something like that. It's not huge, but it's nice. And it's also really nice if like it's someone who like has a hard cast CC and you have like one more way to interrupt it, basically.
Exactly.
Which is always
Right.
cool. Yeah, it's like I'm always thinking, okay, actually that's another thing that I think was really cool is in this particular spec, the Scrapper spec, your roll makes you immune essentially to like anything short of like a boss mechanic. You're basically immune to for that little short time that you're rolling. It's a passive you get somewhere like around level 50 or something like that. I can't remember what it's called. I didn't look it up and I didn't write it down in the show notes either. But it was really cool because even like when I was fighting the Revan fight at the end of Yavin 4, there's basically a bunch of boss mechanics in there, and he does them more often than you can actually interrupt him.
Oh yeah.
But you could, if you have your global up, you can use that global to make it so that he can't hit you with like the affliction or whatever. It's just really cool. Yeah. So if you have a roll available, you can actually completely ignore it because of that passive in the Scrapper spec, which was I thought that was neat. Yeah.
Because you can't. He does the saber throw, which has a
Yes.
long knockdown,
Right.
and then his force choke, which
Yep.
is a little longer than a normal force choke, but
Yeah.
force
And
choke
affliction is really
infuriating.
annoying too. It does a lot of
Right.
damage.
I
Yeah.
always just skip affliction, trying to knock or trying to interrupt it, and just because those saber
Because
throws,
those saber throws are nasty. Yeah, but if it unfortunately does take a global, so you're not gonna if it's the global's not up, and then yeah, you won't be able to roll. But other than that, it's pretty cool. And I did actually avoid a couple of things during that fight because of that. All right, so if you have a tip of the week, send your tip to OotiniCast@gmail.com before the next show for a chance to win a Tonfon or M83 Droid pet code or an M2B9 pet droid code courtesy of Bioware, plus an OotiniCast provided ultimate pack. And let's see, Kuze said he posted one earlier. I did look right before the show, but I must have missed it. I'll have to add it to the next show, Kuze. Sorry about that. Let's go ahead and move on then to the Mind Trap. And this one, we're just having fun before the expansion. So we asked, before 7.0 SWOTOR, what story trope are we most likely to see? So the ones, and I just had fun choosing these because these are like, I basically said, like, what are the most commonly used SWOTOR story tropes? And then I went with those. Malgus apparently dies is one of them. Super weapon is another one. Ally turns traitor. And then I did leave another option for people to like give us their own or just discuss it or whatever.
like apparently.
Okay.
Dies.
Yes, Margus apparently dies. Well, if I put dies, then like they're gonna say, well, he's not gonna really die. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's why I put it in quotes because it's like
Exactly.
maybe he does die, but apparently, whatever. If he only apparently dies, even the way that counts. So
he got cut in half. How could he come back?
yeah, so we did end up with a fair number of votes, 677 votes. Malgus apparently dies actually won for 39.1%. A lot of people think there's gonna be at least one death fake out for Malgus, which I could see happening. He's done the fake death before, but I mean, now that he's sort of clearly going to be like the main bad guy, and his actions are sort of apparently what are driving the story. We don't know exactly what's going on, but in the story bits that have been leading up to this, we know he's been going after unknown artifacts or rituals or something, and that we're still not sure what his actual plan is. And because of that, there could be like a point halfway through the story where you think you get him, but then it turns out no, he didn't. So that could happen. Right. Personally, I voted for Super Weapon because I think that's hilarious, and because SWTOR has so many super weapons in it, many super weapons in Star Wars in general, but SWTOR 2 is like, SWTOR completely goes overboard with super weapons. Everything is a super weapon.
Oh yeah.
The Trooper class story, just the Trooper class story, has at least 3 super weapons in it. There are super weapons that are like just for one class story on one planet, like on Terrace. Right. There's one of the 2 Jedi stories. There's like this super weapon that they're making, like this the stuff that was created when Terrace blew up. They're refining it into like this super mega fuel that's gonna blow everything up. I think it's the Consular story. It must be the Consular story because I did it fairly recently. I haven't done the night one, so I'm pretty sure it's the Consular one. Anyway, so I thought that was hilarious. So that's why I vote for super weapon myself. Which one did you vote for?
First of all, when you put down super weapon, I was just like, perfect. That's so hilarious. And I was playing through. I was on Voss, and who are the other Voss? The bad guy Vosses. Mm-hmm. The Gormak.
Oh, the Gormaks.
They have like basically a gun.
The gun
isn't going to be big. Let's make a big gun.
Right.
A super gun.
Yeah, it's like 50 meters long.
Like, when I read that, I looked up. My character looked up and saw the.
And it the tip glows. Yeah.
It's all just ready to shoot at Voskov. I went with ally turns traitor.
Nice.
I think I don't know what's going to happen, but I kind of like to see it like Lana maybe just go full dark side.
Interesting.
Like,
yeah.
Maybe she just like backstabs you or whatever. I don't know. But
I don't.
Somebody would love turn on us.
That would be interesting. The one thing that I thought, and some people did respond. Oh, and by the way, just so we. Not that I don't think this is one of those polls where the numbers, are necessarily super important, but I think it's fun to see. So 677 votes, 3% went for other, and then they, told us below. Malgus apparently dies did win 39.1% of the vote. Ally turns traitor got the second place, 31.5%, and super weapon was 26.4%. And so Malgus apparently dies is the most common. Let's see. There was someone I'm trying to see who. I thought it was an interesting point. Where is it? A lot of people are talking about how will Malgus get away? Well, yeah, he'll probably get away, but he won't actually die. Everyone agrees Malgus isn't going to actually die. It's too early apparently.
I like Kepis will return.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Rorkor.
Yeah. One of them said super weapon's practically a free slot. Or another one said basically the same thing. Super one's a given in any Star Wars. Where is it? Let's see. Don't tell me I somehow didn't grab it. What it was mentioning was, okay, I can't see it right now. They're talking about if you're in the Alliance and you're on the Empire side, that red skin guy, he's not a Sith, but he has very rare red skin.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and they thought that guy was going to turn on you, which absolutely could.
Yeah.
Because he is sort of an in-between, and he definitely works for the Empire more than he works for you. He's like a liaison, and he's trying to help you out, but he clearly at heart he is a vassal of the Empire. So
right.
So there you go. So there's a lot of fun to talk about, and it's a lot of fun to sort of think about what's going to happen in the story,
exactly.
Even if it doesn't mean much. We're going to see what we see, and I'm sure I'm going to enjoy it. They always do a good job with the writing.
Yeah, and the writing's gotten I'm not saying it was bad before, but the writing's gotten really, really good. They've definitely grown to be, getting better at the craft. But there's definitely going to be a trope. There has to be.
Immortalized Love came with the character name is Rivix. Yes, that sounds right. I believe it is Rivix.
I just call him Pretty Boy.
Yeah. Yeah. They did make him very sort of glamorous.
Oh yeah,
but with that super bright red skin.
And
I had to look. I can't remember. I can never remember it. He's a very unusual race. He shows up on the Wikipedia. Apparently, it's shown up once or twice before, but it's not. He's not a pureblood Sith. He's something else, and that I cannot remember. But interesting. Yeah, interesting. And all right, let's get on then to the Cantina Talk. This is a new segment. This is only the second Cantina Talk we've had, and where we pick out a voice actor from the literally hundreds who have voiced for SWTOR over the years. Last time we talked about Tara Strong, who is a SWTOR voice actor who's also famous for very, very many roles in other IPs. For example, she's Timmy Turner from Fairly Odd Parents and a bunch of other stuff. But this time we're talking about Nika Futterman, who's famous for a Star Wars role. So instead of talking about someone who's famous sort of outside Star Wars voicing, we're talking about someone who's famous for Star Wars voicing outside of SWTOR, and that's Nika Futterman. And she's best known to Star Wars fans for being the voice of Asajj Ventress, who is like an amazing character, basically from the Clone Wars era. And then, of course, she did, in addition to the Clone Wars voicing, she did a bunch of related shows and games and so on in 21 episodes of the Clone Wars. And like immediately, like she stood out, like everyone just fell in love with Asajj Ventress. They wanted more stories about her. There's since been a novel kind of detailing like what has happened to her since the Clone Wars, which actually I read, and it was pretty good. Yeah, it was pretty darn good.
With Quinlan Vos.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Dark Disciple.
Yeah, and Nika Futterman has done other things, of course. So we'll go over those real quick. She's been on Archer several times, which I always think is fun because that's one of my favorite animated shows. Nothing too huge, but she was Dr. Gertrude Rilsa. She was a character named Brigitte, and then a character named Barbie Zizner. Barbie Zizner was like this sort of like sexy, like just past her prime movie star character, and then she's like hiring. This is when they were like being a private eye thing, and she like hires them to help her out, basically. Very good role. She did a great job. She was on Hey Arnold as Olga Pataki. She was on Avatar: The Last Airbender as Smellerby, on Cat Dog as Lola, and on The Loud House as Luna Loud. So she's done a lot of other stuff as well, non-Star Wars related. But she's done quite a bit in SWTOR. So I think a couple of the ones that I think are really fun are Treek. So she's Treek, which is like the only Ewok. Yeah, it's like it was the first Ewok, and as far as I know, it's the only Ewok, which makes sense because like the Ewoks, Treek is a very unusual character. Like they had to like come up with a really unusual background to give her a reason to not be on Endor anymore. Like she's really bizarre, and I love Treek, and the voicing is hilarious on it because of course she's not speaking in English / basic. She's speaking Ewokese or whatever it's called. Yeah, that's right. And she does a really good job because like you can kind of tell what she's talking about even without like this using the subtitles. You can usually kind of get an idea of like at least her tone and some of the things she's talking about, which is hard to do, especially in something like SWTOR where it's not, you don't get all the tools that you would have like a live performance, which is cool. She was also several other characters, which I'll talk about here just real quick. Just the ones that I thought were more interesting. Kimish Orr is an important character for the agent storyline on Balmorra. She's a Balmorran anti-imperial, and as the agent, you sort of infiltrate her terror cell, basically her her anti-imperial cell. That's actually a pretty good one. Danla Zinn is part of the Smuggler's Companion Stories with Corso Riggs. You accidentally kill some of her friends and family, and then you have to help her out, basically. Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate. Dr. Sinessa, this is during the Night Story, and above the imperially destroyed planet of Euphrates. And yeah, I always thought that name was hilarious because, you know, Euphrates, and it's an agricultural planet until it gets destroyed by the Empire. So they named it after a famous river, one of the two Mesopotamian rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates. So it's basically the same name as Euphrates, just spelled differently. Anyway, sorry. I always liked that little thing. It's kind of like how Sith always have names that like mean evil, you know, like in some way. Yeah, exactly. So it's always necrosis and thanatos and, you know, stuff that means death and dying and horrible and all that stuff.
Exploder.
Let's see. Labine, you meet her briefly off the ship as a smuggler with Corso Riggs, and this one is interesting because she's gone mad. There's like a group of cannibals holding one of Corso Riggs' friends. Rahana Rist, this is the Inquisitor story that's on Alderaan, and she's a noble who was and still kind of is in love with a Jedi, and then you use this love as leverage to get to meet the Jedi later on. And then she plays another mad woman named Shraja for the smuggler story on Belsavis. But for me, the highlight is the Lady of Pain. Come on. If you've done the Bounty Hunter, if you've done the Bounty Hunter, you must remember the Lady of Pain. This is from the Tatooine storyline. You meet her for several conversations, and unfortunately you never really get to see her again or hear from her again. You're in pursuit of Tiresias Loci, who becomes your companion Galt later on. She's a very disturbed crime boss who loves inflicting pain, and she loves gladiatorial contests, and she wears revealing clothing. She's a Ratataki, and her voice is really, really reminiscent of Asajj as well. Like, this is one of the ones where you won't just, you know, you won't miss her. Like, if you know Asajj's voice, you will definitely recognize this as the same voice actress. She's doing some of the same sort of silky, sort of like, you know, cat-like purring with her voice and stuff like that. Yeah. And it's an absolute showstopper. Hardly any minor characters sort of get like in your brain as much as the Lady of Pain does, I think. Like, you know, there's a lot of your companion stories, and, you know, you remember your companions, you remember some of the main characters, you remember General Garza if you're a trooper and stuff like that, because, you know, they're all the way through. But there's very few characters that you only get a couple of conversations with and never see them again, and yet it's like, wow, that character is wild.
She even had almost her own stronghold.
Yeah, she does, basically. Yeah.
Really cool.
Yep, she's like she's head of she's one of the heads of the exchange on Tatooine, so she has a lot of like dark, you know, underworld power, basically.
And if I'm not mistaken, the outfit that she is wearing, you can get that outfit for really cheap on Fleet if you have the key fob. She's the security. Is that the security key vendor? Yeah, the security key. You can pick up that outfit for pretty cheap, and it's really cool.
Yeah, it's one of the, like, a dancer's outfit, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
because she's basically like a hedonist, like a very like dark hedonist. Very interesting. So yeah, wonderful job, and so thank you for Nika Futterman for doing all these voices for SWTOR, and of course for Asajj as well. And do any of those stand out for you, Kitty?
Lady of Pain.
Yeah, Lady of Pain.
All the way. Lady of Pain. All the way.
Yeah.
And I love Asajj Ventress. So whenever she does anything in the game, you can kind of hear it if you know what you know who you're listening to. But Lady of Pain is pretty much the same inflections that she used when she was doing Asajj.
Yes.
Ventress. I didn't know she did Treek.
Yes,
I didn't know until I read it.
So yeah, and I've heard that before, and when I was doing the research, it's like, oh yeah, she's Treek. It's like, who would have thought, you know? Because again, it's one of those things where like she does a great job of like putting on a completely different voice. You would never know, except it's there in the credits, basically.
Yeah, and I've been really getting into Treek again lately.
Oh,
like
that's
kind of
fun.
having her as a main companion on some of my new characters because the animations are so great.
Yeah, like
And
when she flies in with the little wings
yeah,
and stuff.
throwing bees around,
Throwing the bees, throwing the little,
that weird orb.
yeah, the weird healing orb where it goes
Right.
kaboosh. Yeah.
And she has like a sling that shoots
Mm-hmm.
like it's when it hits, it sounds like it's mud. It's
Right. Yeah, it's really
great. I
weird.
love it. She's great.
Yeah, she is. She is absolutely. So still worth getting if you haven't gotten Treek before as a companion. It's absolutely worth it. Yeah, and I just have it set up so that it's on every character, and I can just
Me
get
too.
her out on everyone. Because even if it's always nice in early games to have a couple of extra companions who can actually set out on crew skills. So you're not
Right. And
just sitting there.
she's one of the ones that doesn't get taken away for Coffee and Kotet.
Right.
So that's one of the reasons I like.
Yeah, like even chapter 1, like end of chapter 1 when like everyone else goes away. It's like Treek, and I think
Axton,
Nico maybe.
Yeah.
There's about 2 or 3 or maybe 4. I think maybe 4 now because the new one from season 1, the season 1 guy is available, I believe now still as well. Yeah, there's not a lot though.
No.
So
Especially when you're crafting,
yeah, and it's like
Oh wait, you know what? I do have a tip of the week.
Oh, okay. Go for it.
If you're doing the chapters and they've taken some of your companions away,
Mm-hmm.
and you know how like you'll be in a certain chapter and you'll only have one companion,
Right.
but you're wanting to craft,
Yes.
just pop out to your stronghold
Okay.
and all of those companions will be available for you. You can load them up and then pop back into the chapter and they'll continue crafting.
Nice. Yeah, and it still leaves out ones like in certain cases though, right? Like if you go out and it's like it's not necessarily all of them will come back, but it's like at least if it's one of those chapters where like you can only have Lana with you or whatever, at least the other ones are then you can send them out on crew skills. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it won't send everyone back. Like if you're in those weird parts of the story where like just no one's there, like the first part of Coffee, where like just basically everyone's gone away. It does help a little bit if you go back to your stronghold, but I don't think you get quite everyone back. Unfortunately.
Yeah, Treek will be there.
But Treek will be there. Treek is very loyal.
Yeah, she is.
All right, so let's get on to the holo feed. Let's see. We had the Legacy of Sith story teaser. I'm sure a lot of people have seen that already now. It's been out a couple days now. It's on YouTube. There's a link to it in the show notes if you need to see it. And it was basically told with Malgus as the narrator. He basically talks about what he thinks power is and how his philosophy is different from the Jedi and the Sith. He says power belongs to those who are unafraid to take it. Power will be yours if you are willing to burn. So we don't know exactly what that entails, but it sure sounds good, and it was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
This one I think especially was really holding back on story. It was really hard to tell anything about what was going to go on with the story. There was a bit of a spaceship crashing at one point, and there's some fighting going on, and you see some of the characters you've seen before, which is great. You see Major Anri and a couple other people that we've seen from recent storylines, but yeah, what's going on? I don't know. All right, we do know, of course, though, because of it, that Malgus will be front and center. And yeah, that's about it. That's about all I could tell from it.
It got me pumped to play for that day. I didn't know it was released, and I popped it in, and I was like, "Woo! Can't wait!
Let's get it going!" Yeah. And there was a 7.0 PTS recap, and this is basically they're pretty much wrapped up with the PTS for 7.0. They're already starting to look at what they're going to be putting on 7.1 when that comes out. But they did say players have been giving us some incredibly valuable feedback on key changes and updates coming to the next chapter. With Legacy of the Sith right around the corner, we wanted to take a moment to thank our players. We've been rolling out testing phases for all combat styles, legendary items, the new Flashpoint Elam, Galactic Seasons 2, Shadows of the Underworld, itemization and gearing. And there's more information about Galactic Seasons 2 in a little bit. Loadouts, character creation UI, and level 80. And since the PTS opened, the team has dedicated their efforts to reviewing, testing, and processing the input coming from our players. And in December 2021, we announced a delay. Not only will this give us more time with internal testing, but also give players an opportunity to provide us with more input. We anticipated receiving a lot of feedback over the holiday break, so we introduced a list of rewards that players could earn if they achieve certain requirements while playing on the PTS. The quality feedback that came in over those weeks helped us identify player sentiments with gearing and the weekly repeatable missions. Thanks to that input, we've adjusted items such as fixing the hotbar ability assignments for loadouts, rebalancing PvP gearing costs, gear drops for solo players, and clarifying how the weekly repeatable missions work. And there are many 7.0 related dev posts we've made on the forums. In fact, some of them we've talked about before and some of them we'll talk about today. PTS will be closing soon, and we're honing in on launching 7.0. The work of these changes does not stop here. Post-launch, we intend to continue to monitor and review player feedback for the following: Flashpoint balance, 7.0 gearing path, itemization, and player experience utilizing combat styles and loadouts in various parts of the game. Mm-hmm. So, right. Yeah, and it's quite possible, like, the next Mind Trap we were talking about, Kitty, would be something about, like, what part,
right,
are we looking forward to for 7.0? And that's probably what we'll end up doing. Did you want to do a little preview of that? Like, what part, when 7.0 launches, is it, like, only story for you and everything else is by the side? Or do you really look forward to trying out combat styles or loadouts?
I did a little bit of PTS, but not a lot. And
hey, Marcus. Sorry.
Once I got to a certain point, I was just like, I don't want to do it. Right. So I kind of got to dabble a little bit with things, but I can't wait to try loadouts. I can't wait to see all the stuff. I can't wait to just get in there and just start playing. I want to, the gearing. I mean, I'm never going to rush gearing. I learned years and years ago that I'm just going to go my own pace. Right. I'll get it, because they're going to be raising the gear cap anyway. And
that's true. We know that.
I'll get it when I get it. But I'm really looking forward to the loadouts and the combat styles. I think that's going to be really, really fun. Yeah. What about you?
I think that's going to be a lot of fun to play with. Obviously, I'm a story guide for sure, but I think the combat style is going to be really interesting. And also flip-flopping between them could be very interesting. And I think for some characters, I'm not going to use it at all. And I think on other characters, I'm definitely going to use it. And it'll be interesting to kind of have more than one, sort of button to pull. So it's like, I can have like a smuggler and be damaged for solo stuff, but then when I feel like healing, pop in the healing and boom, do a flashpoint or whatever.
Right.
Hopefully that'll actually make, it easier for people to find, flashpoint slots and stuff like that they want to do.
Yeah, I think it'll be really cool for PvP as well. Having your character set up to do PvP with whatever build you want to play and whatever, gear you're going to wear without having to go through the whole rigmarole of changing all that around.
Yeah.
So maybe that'll get some more people into PvP. Who knows?
Right.
Maybe me.
Maybe. Yeah. And we do know that they're looking at 7.1 for adding weapon to the outfitter. They were hoping for 7.0, but that was one step too many, and they've decided to add that for 7.1. We also know it's going to be on the PTS before it goes out to live. So this all came out on the last show. So I know that you're going to be interested in that just because you do so much spacebar B stuff.
Yeah. And I've waited 10 years. Another couple months is nothing.
Yeah.
Like, all right, whatever. I'll see it.
Yep.
I can't wait to see what people, I think it's going to bring a little wind in the sails of weapon crafters, because some of those old weapons that aren't available, the schematics anymore, maybe somebody's gonna want those. Maybe they could sell them on the cartel market or something like that. But
right. And actually, if it's a weapon that you really like the use of, but it's non-modifiable, now you'll be able to actually use that look and feel, which I think is great. I remember there was,
me too.
I don't remember which character it was exactly by name, but it was a trooper with an assault cannon. And I found this, I think it was just one of the leveling ones. It might have been one I picked up randomly as a drop or something, but it didn't have a mod. It was just, set stats. And I was so sad when I finally had to give it away, because it's like it had just a really nice chunky sort of sound that I really thought was really good for the character, and none of the other assault cannons quite use the same sounds that I could find. Anyway, yeah. So and I think it's going to be a lot of fun also seeing. And this doesn't necessarily have to be for when weapons get added, but even just from combat styles, seeing like troopers with the double pistols and stuff like that, like people trying out like different looks and stuff like that. That's gonna be a lot of fun.
And with loadouts, it'll be cool because you go, all right, I think this mission calls for a big cannon. All right, I think we should switch up to sniper rifles now. It just sounds super cool.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be really weird. I think I equated it to driving on the wrong side of the road for us folks that have been in the game forever.
Mm-hmm.
Like using a sniper with pistols. That would feel, even though the mirror class
right
is
it'll be the class, but you'll have the
like
abilities
weird.
Of someone else. Yeah,
right.
It'll be wild, and you can even have the cover.
Yeah,
but it just won't be a rifle. It'll be two pistols.
Right. It's gonna be crazy. I can't wait. It's gonna be fun.
Yep. Let's see. They have been looking at Galactic Season 2 feedback, where the season objectives are not lining up with the featured content, and there's a discrepancy between the objectives players should have versus what they actually have. And then it's fully intended that when season objectives, what season objectives you have, will participate in content which is listed in the activities window and the group finder. So they're looking at making that line up correctly, because that's just a bug they're working out.
Bug.
Here's actually a little bit on the delay of 7.1 weapons being added to Outfitter. Musco actually did this particular one. Unfortunately, the feature will not be shipping alongside the expansion. Will instead be coming in 7.1. We've made the decision due to the feature not being ready for PTS testing this week. It is important to us that we get your thoughts on it before it goes in game, especially since we know how excited it is to see it come to life in SWTOR, as are we. You shouldn't have to wait too long since seeing it, though. Our goal is to get 7.1's PTS started in February. We're currently targeting the week before or the week after 7.0's launch, so basically mid-February.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so it could actually potentially be out before the next show. We'll see if that happens or not.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Let's see. There's a guild perk schedule ran out. Basically, they had like this weird thing where the guild perk schedule is not working properly, but they can't really fix it because 7.0 is dropping and it's connected to that somehow. Yeah. So, as mentioned previously, we're investigating a fix which could resolve the issue during a planned downtime. We do have the fix ready, however, it will need to be deployed inside of a patch. Due to that, we are going to put this fix into our next planned patch, which is 7.0. So, though we're unable to patch this week, expect the guild perk schedule and Kaizyken to be fixed at 7.0.
Nice.
We understand this is not ideal. We wanted to let you know about the update as soon as possible. So there we go. So yeah, so if you're like a guild leader and you've been wondering about the guild perk weirdness, that's what's going on with that. Should be fixed in 7.0. This is also the change to Kaizyken. As mentioned in the guild perks schedule thread, we're not able to deploy the fix for Kaizyken as we originally intended due to the guild perks schedule fix needing to be deployed through a patch. Our design team provided below information to further explain how Kaizyken will operate in Legacy of the Sith, including explanation of how the RNG protection will work on the set bonus crate. So, when 7.0 launches, Kaizyken will have a new inventory containing a rotating collection of tacticals. This collection will operate just like the rotating tacticals offered on Kai during 6.0. A rotating collection of crafting schematics for tacticals and set bonuses. These schematics will be the same schematics available from Kai in 6.0. That's interesting. Like, it seems odd that none of those set bonuses will have happened to have changed.
Yeah,
that
seems
like
really
a lot
weird.
of the seemed like a lot of the set bonuses were changing. Okay.
Well,
go ahead.
Maybe I'm a little confused, but why would the schematics even be useful to anyone anymore? Because those perks aren't going to work, right?
I don't know. Yeah, I think some of them are, but some of them aren't. I don't know. I guess that's not really clear to me either. A new unidentified set bonus crate that will give the player a random piece of set bonus gear from the Spoils of War expansion. The crate will contain no tactical items. That crate will contain no tactical items, and the crate will contain every set bonus from 6.0, regardless of where it came from. This includes the sets previously only available from Duck Center Crafting. Okay, this is because, I remember this now, this is because there's all those titles that are available now. Remember,
Okay, gotcha.
Those set bonuses all come with titles, and yeah, even if the set bonuses are broken for endgame, it's still a way that you can get those titles if you want them. So there you go.
Gotcha.
We figured it out. Howard says RNG protection work. When a player opens the unidentified set bonus crate, the current discipline and the items in their equipment and inventory will be checked. If an item exists in the player's equipment or inventory, the RNG protection will prevent that item from dropping. Items will only drop if they match the player's current discipline or loot discipline if they have that set. So apparently loot discipline is still going to be a thing, even though they have, you can swap out your combat style. That's interesting. This duplicate protection existed in 6.0, but didn't apply to set bonuses that could be worn by any class. We'll be extending this protection to include generic set bonuses as well. Important to note with the change is that when you have acquired every item from the crate, it will no longer have anything to give you. To ensure the crate always rewards the player with something, the Taskmaster's chest guard will remain in the crate with no duplication protection. If you start receiving duplicates of the Taskmaster's chest guard, you know that you have collected everything from the crate. Okay.
That's cool.
Interesting.
There you go.
That's one way to do it. All right. And then let's see. So we have... let's see, the clarification on heroic missions. We've seen a misunderstanding that players will no longer have the ability to complete heroic missions they want to run, and wanted to talk about this with you all. Part of 7.0 gearing design is to encourage players to spread around the galaxy by rewarding only certain activities each week. We want to clarify with this system, any activities that aren't being encouraged will still be available and will still be rewarded. At any time, players will be able to access the Heroic Missions terminal on the fleet or travel to a planet's mission Dropbox to access the heroic mission of their choice, complete their heroic, and receive their rewards. What will be changing week by week is which heroic area gives bonus rewards for completion. So there we go. So it's not like all the other heroics are going to be grayed out or anything.
Right.
Let's see. We're making the following adjustments that you'll see live at 7.0 for gearing. Legendary missions. We'll be adjusting the amount of charge gained from the PvP activities so that all PvP related activities give 10 charges per match. I'm not sure exactly how that's really working and all, but previous values, this will give us some idea. Previous values were 4 charge for unranked matches, 7 charge for solo ranked matches, and 10 charge for group ranked matches. So apparently all of them are going to be 10 now. So basically, whether you're doing ranked or non-ranked, group or solo, it's all going to be 10 per match. So, okay. So they're leveling that out. Roll in need. We have slightly increased the rewards for roll in need to make them more enticing and encourage players to swap roles. 2 process isotope stabilizers, 50 tech frags, 5 medals of commendation, and 5 aquatic resource matrices, up from 3. So,
cool.
that's, and then you'll be able to combat style your way over to the other role, hopefully. Galactic Starfighter. Rewards for Galactic Starfighter weren't equal to rewards from other modes of PvP, so we've increased the rewards from GSF to be closer to PvP rewards. Losses now reward 50 tech fragments, up from 0. Yikes. GSF wins now have a chance to grant a legendary ember, previously no chance.
Oh, cool.
It doesn't say what the odds are, but some is better than none.
Yeah.
GSF weekly mission will reward 1,000 tech fragments, up from 720.
Oh, wow.
It's pretty good.
That's not bad.
And the daily will reward 150, up from 120.
Nice.
So yeah,
I'm assuming that since the galactic seasons are going to be starting, that GSF's going to pick up again too. So
yeah, especially whenever it's one of the highlighted styles. Yeah, for sure. PvP gearing costs. PvP gear upgrades require too high amounts of medals of commendation and aquatic resource matrices, so these values have been reduced. We have also increased the amount of aquatic resource matrices rewarded from PvP weekly missions. So unranked weekly missions now reward 8 Aquatics up from 2. Solo, ranked, and GSF weekly missions now reward 10. Aquatics up from 3. And group ranked weekly missions now reward 12. Aquatics up from 4. That's a lot more, actually.
That is a lot more.
Yeah. And tech fragments. This was really interesting because there was a lot of people like starting to give the advice of like, when 7.0 drops, make sure you are capped out on your tech fragments. Because tech fragments are really hard to get, and apparently they've noticed because they've decided to increase a lot of them. To compensate for the amount of tech fragments players used to receive from deconstruction, we've increased the amount of tech frags rewards from various activities. Conquest, personal reward up from increased to 250 from 100.
Nice.
Yeah. Group finder, daily master flashpoint 150. Master flashpoint repeatable after your daily increased 250. Veteran increased to 125. The veteran repeatable increased to 40. Story is 175 for the first one, and then repeatable increased to 60. It's interesting that's actually story is actually. I see. So the story, and then they do veteran uprisings. Okay.
Right, it's because they made the weeklies accessible.
It's interesting that the story repeatable is increased to 60, where the master is 50 and the veteran's 40. Or did they swap these around or something? That seems really odd.
I don't know.
You know what I mean? It's like, why is the story repeatable 60 if the master repeatable is 50 and the veteran is 40?
40.
Seems odd. Maybe I'm thinking that they swapped some of those numbers around. In any case, the point of it though is that they're increasing the amount of them that you're getting.
That's good.
Chapters, except for chapter 9, the Alliance, which because you can basically spacebar through that. Story chapter completion increased to 10. Veteran is 20. Master is 30. So not a lot of tech points, but at least a few. No, it's not really not a lot.
Master. You only get 30 for running a master chapter. Oh boy.
Yeah, exactly. That's not a lot.
Not a lot.
Heroics. Heroic mission completion now grants 10 tech fragments up from 0. So heroic missions now grant tech fragments. Bad. Yeah, it's not a lot, but heroics are pretty quick usually.
Yeah.
And daily areas. Daily area mission completions now grant 10 tech fragments up from 0 as well.
Yeah, I'm really happy to see that they're going up from 0. 0 just seems ridiculous. Why no one would do them.
Right.
Or there would be very little incentive to do them. So
yeah,
that's good. I'm glad.
Yeah, I agree. Especially for some of these solo things, because it looked like it was going to be really hard to do it, to get tech fragments at the doing solo stuff. Obtaining gear at 320. When obtaining geared item rating 320 from flashpoints and operations, it was possible for players to begin receiving duplicate items before having acquired all pieces at 320. We've adjusted those drops, so players should no longer receive duplicate gear if any of their equipment slots has a piece of gear below 320. So that's good.
Cool.
Defeating bosses. The reduction of gear dropping from bosses left them feeling less exciting when killed. We've adjusted the distribution of currency and gear on bosses to retain some of the excitement. Excuse me. Defeating a boss in flashpoints or operations will now always reward a piece of gear. This gear will be equal item rating to a randomly chosen piece of gear the player has equipped. In addition, the boss may drop bonus currency, Decurion stabilizers for flashpoints, hazardous catalysts for operations when defeated. That's cool.
That's good.
Yep. And then gear drops for solo players. This is what they mentioned earlier. Basically, you could the idea was before with solo stuff, you were just gathering points, and then you'd have to go to the vendor to actually get any gear. Now there's actually going to be occasional gear drops. Players on the Conquest gear track currently have no way to obtain direct gear drops, which would make gearing alt characters more difficult than we intended. To alleviate this issue, we have created a new Noble Decurion distribution crate. This crate will reward the player a piece of Noble Decurion gear at an equal item to a randomly chosen piece of equipped gear. This crate will be rewarded on the weekly missions for heroic and daily areas. So there's quite a few like heroic and daily areas. There really are.
Yeah, there is.
Story flashpoint rewards will now offer the player a choice between 3 medals of calm or 3 Decurion isotope stabilizers for completion. And bosses and story flashpoints will still drop Decurion isotope stabilizers. And yeah, so then they sort of like gave they gave some changes to the stats offered by the gear, basically so that you could like set your gear up a little bit better. Basically, it was like another thing that was sort of happening, in addition to sort of like recommending that everyone have like their tech points maxed out, was people were also recommending like figure out ways to get accuracy, because like there was basically no accuracy on anything.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah, and now it's like, okay, it's like, okay, you have targeter's gear, and that's for marksman, engineering, virulence, concealment, and it all has some slots that are like that have accuracy in them. In fact, it even shows like targeters: chest is alacrity, feet is accuracy, hands is alacrity, head is accuracy, and then legs are crit. But then if you look at some of the other ones, like like the healing ones doesn't have any accuracy, but it shows you which ones are crit, which ones are alacrity. So if you want to, you can like kind of mix and match a little bit. Figure out which way is going to work. If you want to get like all your accuracy from the actual point from the actual pieces of gear, that's one way to go. Or of course you can still use augments and your left side gear and all that sort of thing.
And you'll have loadouts, so that'll make that a little bit easier.
Could, yeah, it definitely could. All right, and let's see. There's like a whole. Let's see. Keep an eye on the dev tracker so you're aware of the most up-to-date posts for myself and or the team. This is from Jackie Coe. And then there's like a whole list that's in the show notes about like the story so far blog, story teaser trailer, 7.0 conquest changes, all kinds of other things you can click on and sort of see what the latest is. Let's see. Crafting nodes still not fixed. They do know that, like, if you've probably seen it too, especially in areas where the nodes get picked up a lot. They sometimes bug out, and then you can't click on them at all.
Right.
It's something that's been sort of in and out of the game through the years a few times. It's unfortunately in the game right now. They kind of got rid of it not too long ago, and it came back like almost immediately. Like, it was only gone for like a few patches, and now it's back. Yeah, I know. Like I said, I've noticed that. Like, it definitely feels like it happens most with the nodes that get picked up a lot, like the ones that are like right outside of a base, like right on the main road, stuff like that. The ones that are off the side of the path almost never seem to be bugged. If I had to guess, I would say it's something about how
frequent.
Like, yeah, when they get picked, then there's like a respawn, or maybe like if they get picked but no one picks up the box, because you can actually do that. Like if you right click on it manually, not with your companion, they automatically pick up anything that they complete. But if you do it yourself, you can actually cast it, and then if you can actually move a little and interrupt the actual pickup of the objects, right. And it leaves behind a loot box on the ground that you can pick up. I don't know if like leaving that behind bugs it out or what, but something's doing it. And like I said, it does seem to happen mostly, from what I've seen. This is very personal, non-empirical, but it does feel like if I'm off the beaten path, it almost never is bugged. And then if I see a bugged one, it's on one of the main paths, or it's right outside of the main base, or that sort of thing.
Gotcha.
Yep. And someone was asking, I didn't say anything was posted, but was curious, are we going to be able to skip to the start of Legacy of the Sith like we could with Kotvi, Kotet, and Ossus? And Jackie said the skip story will be left at Ossus as it is the beginning of the story arc where we want players to be contextually. So the furthest you can skip forward will be Ossus. So that's quite a bit of story after that. So yeah, for people who are not as interested in the story, that might not be great news, because that's a lot of story to work through if you're not interested in it. But frankly, like, going through the story is also kind of how you get the basic gear too. So personally, I don't have a problem with it. All right, and then I think was it Zamzam? Yeah, Zamzam like did some questions, and Jackie answered them, which was kind of cool. These are on like Gearing 7.0 questions. Let's see. Is the tertiary stat distribution remaining the same for PvP gear, or how it was on the PTS, or is it changing to line up with the PvE gear changes? And she said the PvP gear will be changing to line up with the stat distribution changes listed. So it's going right along the same thing. So in other words, if it has the tacticians, then it's going to be the same whether it's PvE or PvP in terms of where the accuracy and crit and everything will be.
Nice.
Zam asks, there are currently not many sources of requisition caches. These crates guarantee a gear upgrade. for those not familiar with the 7.0 PTS. And these sources heavily favor PvE, at least on the PTS that we saw. Are there plans to add requisition caches, at the very least, to the GSF and ranked PvP weeklies? And she said those are the intended sources of the requisition caches. We kept in mind the amount of requisition caches available when determining prices for PvP gear. So if that was a little fuzzy on the writing there, but it sounds like that, yeah, it's going to be added to the weekly there, which kind of lines up with what they said earlier. Upgrading set bonus implants was a very strange and finicky process. Can we get confirmation that it was bugged? Or at least hopefully it was bugged, and perhaps some clarification on exactly how is intended we upgrade our set bonus implants. Yeah, because like now it's going to be like implants are kind of, and I think at least for a while earpieces, all that, I think that's still the case, was where you can get like 2 set bonuses basically out of those 3 pieces, and then that was how you do your set bonuses now. That's kind of how that's going to be working. It's hard to answer without more detail about what was strange and finicky. However, there were bugs with upgrading set bonus implants that have been fixed since the last PTS. Upgrading your implants should work like upgrading other pieces of gear, requiring currencies and a previous implant to turn in. So we know what they're going for anyway, so hopefully it will match that. Are we going to get Warzone crates? Sorry, Kitty, what was that?
Oh, it's back to the old school way, where you had to, with the PvP gear and the original version, where you had to get the gear, get the coin, put it in there, and then switch it out. Right.
Yeah, they're not going to the old school PvP where you actually have like a set of PvP gear that you kind of need for PvP. It's still going to be all the same stat gear, but yeah, it definitely is. It's on its own track again, which is interesting. Are we going to get Warzone crates for completing PvP and GSF matches? Additionally, are they going to have a chance of dropping Thresian PvP gear? On the PTS, we were getting crates from completing matches, but the premium crates just dropped tech fragments. In addition to Warzone crates containing tech fragments, PvP players will receive Thresian production accelerants from completing matches. Wins will reward slightly more tokens than losses. So it's like a token thing instead of an actual gear thing.
Interesting.
Let's see. As a general note, we intend on keeping an eye on feedback that comes in post-launch. This does include feedback surrounding how players gear their alts. In other words, not just your mains, but like how easy or difficult it is to do that. All right. Along with the same idea, David Stats did some Galactic Seasons 2 feedback. This is also from the PTS, and some of the changes that they're going to make for Season 2, which is going to be launching, I think, with 7.0 or certainly right after it. I don't remember if it exactly is supposed to start with 7.0, but
yeah, they said it.
It says with 7.0, and I think that does mean like the same day, but yeah. I wanted to hedge my bets, though, just in case I was wrong. We've increased the number of Galactic Season points earned from solo-oriented objectives. So, because it did feel like it was sort of aimed towards like group content. So it's kind of nice that solo folks will have a little bit better ways to get it. These will now offer players 8 Galactic Season points, up from 6, for a total of 48 Galactic Season points if all 6 are completed, up from 36. In addition, we've increased the total number of Underworld Syndicate plans for both daily and solo-oriented season objectives. Daily season objectives will now offer 2 Underworld Syndicate plans, up from 1, and solo-oriented season objectives will now offer 10, up from 7. 10 Underworld Syndicate plans. Objective requirement adjustments. We have made some additional adjustments to the requirements of following season objectives based on feedback and our own continued playtesting. Let's see, hang on, something got blocked there. There we go. Ace of the Armada now requires 4 missions, down from 6. Core Word Worlds now requires 8 missions, down from 10. You see how this is going. 8 missions down from 10, 8 from 10, 8 from 10. Mutual Beneficiary now requires 1,000 reputation earned, down from 1,500, so the rep thing is different. Infiltrating the competition now requires 40 syndicate plans, down from 60. Sparks of War now requires 25 defeated enemies, down from 45. That's all variations of Sparks of War. And season objective description adjustments. The following season objectives have had their descriptions updated to provide more clarity and context. Syndicate infighting. The description updated to provide additional clarity as to what needs to be done, including where to locate disguise crates and syndicate personnel consoles. That's kind of cool. Infiltrating the competition. The description has been updated to inform players of all sources of Underworld Syndicate plans and their yields. Seeking artifacts, sort of similar thing. GSI valued partner, again, sort of same thing. So basically, they're adding a lot of clarity and where to go to start these things off. That's basically, cool. Yeah, it helps a lot.
I like that.
Reward track update. We've increased the amount of Medal of Commendation reward grants. Each grant medals of commendation. Will now grant 20 medals up from 5. I don't know exactly what that means, but that's sure a big bump.
Yeah, it's a big bump. 5 sounds like it sucked.
Yeah, that does sound, doesn't it? Bugs squashed. Clicking on the daily, weekly complete tracker in the Galactic Seasons reward will properly take the player to the Season Objective tab. The Season Objective tab is now more defined as a clickable tab. That's good. Underworld Syndicate plans earned from season objectives will no longer be mailed to the player. They will now be automatically added to the player's legacy currency. That's cool. Fixed an issue where some players were on the wrong season objectives week. Ooh, that's interesting. Fixed an issue where the Underworld Aspirant achievement was incrementing on area transition /login. I'm not sure exactly what that means.
Yeah,
but it sounds bad.
Over my head.
Yeah, sounds like the achievement was incrementing. Does that mean it's like the amount of points you had was changing or amount of points you needed was changing? That's interesting. Anyway, they're working on fixing that. And yeah, so basically there's just lots of little changes on the PTS, based on the PTS. Sounds like, since there's no more PTS for 7.0 and they have said nothing else, I see no reason not to assume that 2 weeks from now when we're doing the next show that it will be the first day of 7.0 Legacy of the Sith.
Day off. Woo! Ready.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Are you going to try to do like both sides of the story the first day, or?
I'm just going to play by ear. I'll see what I feel like and go from there.
Yeah.
Probably, because I'm going to be streaming it, trying to figure out, maybe answering some questions / getting help from chat. So I'll just kind of see how it goes. What about you? Yeah,
I definitely, I don't know exactly, how long it'll take to get through the story. I mean, no one really does because it wasn't on the PTS. Usually these things take 1 to 2 hours, something like that. I'm assuming it's going to be in the same range, more on the 2-hour range, more likely, especially for people like us who don't spacebar. So I'm hoping that I'll have time. Depends on when the servers go live and everything else. Yeah, and of course we do the show relatively early. It's 4 p.m. in the afternoon our time when we do the show, so it's not like we're gonna have like tons and tons and tons of time before the show. But I'm hoping to get at least one of the 2 stories done, like either Republic or Empire, if not both. But I'm hoping for one. I think one is probably more likely. Yeah, and then we're just going to play the hell out of it the next few weeks.
There's so much room for activities. So much more new stuff to do. So
yeah, it's going to be interesting to see like how all the gearing works, how fast does it go for us for gearing, how we're doing with the combat styles and all the other little changes that are coming out. I can't wait. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. At some point, after it launches, I'll also be doing like my first character where the story does not match the original, set of gear and set of abilities, which is going to be really fun.
Driving on the wrong side of the road.
Exactly. I can't wait to do that. I think that's going to be tons of fun. And yeah, I've seen some videos, several people put out videos of the new character creation screens, which look a lot different from the current ones, the ones that we've had since launch. They really haven't changed much since launch. They work. I've never been really happy with like the lighting that it shows of the characters. So that's actually one of the things I'm mostly hoping for. It does look like in these videos that the lighting is a little more neutral and a little brighter, and hopefully a little more accurate for things like skin tones and stuff like that. Because like the way it is, it's the lighting is slightly yellow, and it's sometimes hard to tell, between like the blues and the greens and the stuff like that. There's certain skin tones, certain hair tones and eye tones and everything that just don't really pop, and then you see them in the game, and it's like, oh, okay, that's like several tones brighter than I thought it was, or whatever. You know what I mean? So it's like
that was a big issue with the Nautilans. Their skin tone on the character generator was way different than it was in game. Because I remember
Right.
making it and then having to use a customization station in order to change it to something I wanted.
Yeah. I've had to do that a few times as well, especially for like cosplays, and then it's like you try a skin tone and it's like, oh, okay, that was way darker or way lighter than it actually seemed to be. Yeah.
Right.
And I've done that too. Or I've actually remade them as well. Because I feel I catch it early enough and I feel like
I've done that too.
a little snippy about it, and it's like, I am not going to spend some cartel coins on this when it should have looked like this anyway. But yeah, right. So it does look it looks very slick. Also, it's like a very slick modern style character creation screen, which I think is fun. I'm looking forward to seeing that. It'll be interesting to see if like anything else changes that we're not expecting. Like maybe something changes, like in character select, when you go into your server or something like that. I haven't noticed anything like that. No one's mentioned anything like that, but it could happen still. It'll be fun to see like the little things that change that maybe we weren't expecting. I think that's gonna be fun to see.
One of the things that I'm going to be looking very forward to is the character selection music. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't abruptly start like ta-da, and you're like, oh. I'm looking forward to having a nice, smooth intro to the music where it's not so abrupt and abrasive to my ears.
Okay.
I can't wait.
Well, yeah, we had the same song for a long time, and then they just changed it. I think it was for this last
Onslaught.
Yeah. Was it even at the beginning of Onslaught, or was it like during Onslaught at some point? I can't remember exactly anymore.
I think it was during Onslaught at some point. I think it was when they added and I don't remember exactly, and it's a great score, but it's just too abrupt. Nothing, and then boom, like you forget that your headphones are on too high, and that thing comes in. You're like, ay.
Yeah, I like them. I like both songs. Lucasarius in the chat definitely likes the old song. So, yeah, he said the best part about the PTS was having the old music back. So there you go.
Yay.
I like them both, actually. Yeah, but it's all good. Yeah, I can't wait. And so I guess we'll certainly have lots to talk about next show for sure, no matter what.
Oh yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. I think that's good. Then, you have anything else, Kitty?
Nope, I think we're good to go.
All right, then that's a show. If you'd like to play with us on the Utini Knights Guild on the Republic side of the Satele server, or in our
Utini Rage
Guild on the Empire side, do a /C join Utini to join the Utini channel. Then let us know you're a fan of the show. You can email questions and comments about the show to OotiniCast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter using @OotiniCast. You can find contact details for us on our website, OotiniCast.com, which includes how to subscribe using iTunes, Stitcher, and the rest. We record the show live bi-weekly, Tuesdays, 4 p.m. Pacific, streaming at twitch.tv/UtiniCast. Our theme song is Doomsday by Jean-Paul Zogby, and thank you to the chat room.
Thank you, chat!
And we'll see you next show. All right, but before we really turn off the stream and stuff, let's go ahead and see if we can find a nice raid to do.
Going right.
Let's see. Yeah. If you have someone you want me to send them to, Kitty, I'm always happy to do that. If not, I can always find one, I'm sure. Let's see. I saw Marcus earlier. Is he streaming now?
I don't know.
I don't see him right now. SWTOR Boy is no, he's not streaming SWTOR at the moment though, or at least it doesn't show it doing SWTOR. Let's see.
It's funny, my eye automatically goes straight to UtiniCast. I'm like,
yeah, it's like, hey, go to UtiniCast. That doesn't work. Let's see.
I'm looking.
Do. Well, let's see.
How about, let's see, friction vapes?
Do you want to try them?
Sure.
We're gonna take a little bit of a risk here, folks. We usually raid someone that we know at least a little bit, or have kind of verified what kind of player they are. But let's take a chance today. Let's just randomly raid Friction Vapes, and here we go. He looks like he's on a bit of a bit of a break right now. But he says he'll be right back. So hope when he comes back, he'll have a lot of people.
Nice.
Thanks for coming, and we'll see you soon. 2 weeks till the drop of 7.0.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for being here.
All right. So let me close the twitch.tv. Let me go ahead and close the recording and the stream.